That's right, Bradan. We are still here in Atteridgeville, where we have caught up with the Minister of Social Development, who's actually been making her rounds in and around the Pretoria region. We saw a number of issues yesterday with regards to the elderly and the disabled unable to either get to their pay points because taxis aren't operating, or just having to wait in long queues, and then issues around social distancing not being observed. I just want to bring her in right now. Thank you for joining us, Minister. What have you seen so far? Very chaotic scenes yesterday. Are you satisfied with the work that's been done to try and rectify the issues that we saw yesterday?
Yes, yesterday we did a review and looking back at what we were seeing from the visits that we had in Alexandra, in Soweto, Sapo, SASA and ourselves sat throughout the night trying to look at how can we improve today. And so far the places we've been to in Lodium, and now we are here in Atteridgeville, it's quiet. But the quietness doesn't mean it's quiet because everything is going on very well. The post office, on the other hand, here is very ready. The retailers are very ready. Just like yesterday, they were actually ready. The challenge, we are told now, is with transport, bringing people here. So while you might see that it's all a bit quiet, it might be the fact that some people are struggling to get here. Now, Minister Mbalula assisted us as a Minister of Transport. We don't have issues from that point of view. We just want to then go and check what is now happening, because there was an agreement of the transportation of people, and that was going very smoothly yesterday from a point of view of transporting people here. But also we need to look for other alternatives, because when all is said and done, it's about the elderly, the people with disability who have to come here and get their money. This is their lifeline. So we've got to talk to Minister Mbalula again and get to appreciate maybe what conversations they're having with the taxi associations. We don't want to be creating any conflict anywhere. All we want is to make sure that people who are on lockdown, who are risking coming out here, because, by the way, we're talking about poor people who've got nothing else. So they've got to be able to come out here and get the money that the government always has for them, but they've also got to get the food and their needs that they have to take back home.
There were issues also around some pay points actually running out of money. What measures have been put in place now?
Absolutely. As I said earlier on, SASA and the post office has been working around the clock to make sure that money is delivered. And I think that the agreement was already reached yesterday, because the reason why we are facing such a situation, we did not anticipate the volumes. We thought that people would appreciate and understand when we're saying only the elderly and people with disability. Unfortunately for us, we saw quite a big number. Here I'm happy because the retailers here are saying that they are very clear about who they are supposed to serve. They're not going to have people who are supposed to come tomorrow, that is those that are coming for the child grants. They're not going to allow them here to block the elderly and people with disability. And I think that's what we should make sure happens in all the pay points where we are today. We're satisfied with what we see, but of course we now have to go and deal with what is the problem with regard to transportation.
Lastly, I'm not sure if there's started to be a rollout of the flu vaccines being distributed to the elderly. I'm not sure if it was supposed to happen as they were queuing. What's the program, or how is that going to be rolled out?
That is a Gauteng program, and I think that you can be able to speak to MEC Panyaza Lisufi about it, because I think Corona has come and it's a crisis for us, but there's lots of lessons to be learned. Some of these things are saying to us we need to re-engineer some of the services that we give to our people. We should be able to understand that come winter time, the elderly are the most vulnerable. What is it that we can do to prevent? Because prevention is better than cure. So I think the lessons that are going to be learned from especially the rollout that's being done by Gauteng, it's now because we have COVID-19, but we have to look into the future to say, how else do we extend the services that we give better than we've been doing, because we are exposed to some weaknesses within our institutions, and therefore when we come out of this, we should look at strengthening our institutional capacities.
Before I bring in the Minister of Communications, I just want to bring in MEC just to give us more clarity around this rollout of the flu vaccine for the elderly.
We are starting today. The entire cabinet will be at Stretla We really believe that's a very important program led by the MEC for Health, Dr. Bandile Masuku. Our team will be in Stuetla to do two basic things: massive testing, because the president announced the need to test majority of our people. So we're launching it in Gauteng there, and we're bringing the flu vaccine. You remember, elderly people are vulnerable. They're the one that we really believe that if you can protect them first, we'll be in a position to save some lives. So we are dealing with that aspect. I think it will be rolled out across the province as other people are contacted. But we want, as on behalf of the Gauteng provincial government, we just want to send our sincere condolences to the family of the pensioner that died yesterday at Pimville. I'll be personally visiting the family on behalf of the Gauteng government today around 1 o'clock, so that we can formally extend our sincere condolences to that family.
All right, so from today in Stuetla, we're going to be seeing that rollout.
As I say, we're working around those issues around Stuetla today, so the entire team is in Stuetla to ensure that everyone get proper attention.
Thank you so much. Lastly, I just want to bring in the Minister of Communications, of course, the Post Office falling under your mandate. Do you think they've been properly and adequately prepared for the SASSA social grants?
Definitely, I think Post Office has been prepared, as Minister Zulu has elaborated earlier on. Of course, in certain areas, as you correctly put it earlier, we experienced challenges in terms of the cash that we ran out of, but we have addressed all of those. But one of the things, as the Minister of Social Development indicated, one of the things that led to us running out of cash was the fact that the day was prepared only for the elderly and disabled. But we experienced all people who are beneficiaries coming to the Post Office. But secondly, the fact that most people used not to come to the Post Office to access their grants. They would wait at the pay points, but that was different. Everybody flocked to the Post Office. Now, in terms of the numbers that we normally cater for, it had increased drastically. Actually, I'm informed that more than 40% that we saw in terms of the increase. We're talking about 4 million people that already have access grants, and it has never happened. So those were the challenges that led to us running out of cash. And as Minister Zulu has reported already, that was addressed last night. The last branches to receive money, the latest, was 9 o'clock today. So we are looking forward to a smooth day, but of course we'll check, as the Minister has said, we're going throughout the entire areas that we'll be visiting.
Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. I think that's where we can leave it for now, Bradan.